Welcome everyone. Today's February 25th, 2026, and this is the Amherst Conservation Commission. We have present six of the seven commissioners so far, and as well as town staff Aaron Jacques and Dave Zomek. Today we'll be having one hearing, uh, followed by um, followed by a discussion on land management policies and regulations. We're trying to work our way through them to propose to have a full packet of proposed regulations and policies put together. The initially scheduled Gull Pond discussion is going to be tabled to the next meeting. Our Conservation Department Director will not be able to attend it later on. So we'll have this at a future meeting. And I see now that we have a full complement of seven conservation commissioners. Um, we are still under a mild drought status, and we'll see how long that lasts. That's all I have for now. With that, I'll pass it over to Dave Zomek for the director's report. Dave?
Sure, thanks, Andre. I'll be brief as usual. Just to start off, I no longer have the conflict, so I'll try to be with you as long as you go tonight. So if there's any questions about Gull Pond, if the agenda allows, we could tackle them tonight. Um, let's see, a couple of quick updates, just around town and around the department and around various projects we're working on. I don't want to steal Bruce's thunder, but he may want to say a bit about, we are proceeding with the culvert MVP Municipal Vulnerability Program grant that we got with the surrounding towns. And there is a meeting planned on March 16th, I believe now, Bruce. Is that able to be announced? If Bruce could maybe, you're muted, Bruce.
I'm going to find something to show you.
Okay.
Continue on. I just need a second to find
Okay,
it.
so yeah,
Yeah.
we wanted to announce that meeting. It'll take place at Town Hall from 6 to 8:30 p.m. on March 16th, and you and others will be invited. Um, Aaron has been diligently working through with planning staff and recreation staff the various chapters and text and maps of the open space and recreation plan, and we hopefully will be able to bring some of that back to you soon. It's been a laborious process here, but we've got to get that into the state to be eligible for various grants and programs. So that is in process. We're getting ready for kind of spring planning. Again, not a conservation project, but conservation related over at Hickory Ridge. We are moving forward with some of the trail projects. We recently put out to bid one of the bridges there to be able to get people over the Fort River. So we are going to be moving forward with redecking the bridge, one of the major bridges, the central bridges there, and then some of the trail work. You may recall we have a mass trails grant that we need to finish up by July. So, and all of that work has been permitted. So that is proceeding as soon as winter is done with us. And I guess that's anybody's guess when this wonderful real New England winter will leave us. But stay tuned. In terms of field staff, most of the field staff work right now is in the shop. And what they're doing, Brad and Anthony, are repairing equipment, repairing brush hogs and lawn mowers, and servicing them for the upcoming season, whatever that might bring. So a lot of indoor work. As I mentioned before, they're also out on the trails. At one point, with all of these storms and all of this wind, you can lose 20, 30 trees in one windstorm out there. So they're busy. You may see them, you may hear them clearing trails, i.e., taking down or removing trees that have fallen over the trails. That's really the activity that takes place during the winter. And again, we can lose at any one storm many, many trees on our 140 miles of trails. Um, let's see what else is happening out there. I guess the only other thing I would mention is that it's hard to believe, but we're also starting to plan for the salamander migration up in North Amherst on Henry Street. And this is something we, the town, coordinate with the Hitchcock Center for the Environment and have for decades. And so Aaron and I, with Aaron taking a big part of this, will be meeting with the Hitchcock Center folks. As you may recall, we often, with the police department and DPW, close down that road on the quote big night in March. Again, who knows when the big night will be, when salamanders will move. Anybody's guess here with the winter we're having, but it probably isn't going to be the first week in March, but maybe it'll be week 3 and 4. So we've got a good snowpack out there, and it really takes those warm nights with rain over about 40 degrees to get them moving. So stay tuned for that, and sometime in March. So those are the quick updates around town. Maybe Bruce wanted to say a little bit more about the culvert meeting on March 16th at Town Hall.
I do. Aaron, it doesn't allow me to share.
Is that okay with you, Andre, if we make a public service announcement here for this culvert grant?
Yes, absolutely is, Dave. And I'm sorry, but I didn't mention, and I'm not sure that I think that you might have overseen the meeting that we had with the Lawrence Swamp for the Lawrence Swamp stakeholders.
Sure, I can say a bit about that. Are you able to share, Bruce, or not? No?
So Bruce,
Not
can you try to share and see if there's a way for you to request to share?
send a request, it says.
Yes. Yep. There you go. All set.
So while Bruce is gearing up for that, Andre referenced something that I had mentioned a few meetings back. We are working with this wonderful 3 Conway School of Design students, and this is an interdepartmental study of Lawrence Swamp, looking at recreation, passive, active recreation, historic land use, preservation, water supply protection. Wonderful students, and will be pulling together maps, historic information, land use information, and then they'll be making recommendations to us, the town, but also to the planning board, the Concom, the Water Supply Protection Committee, and we held a stakeholders meeting. Andre and Bruce were your representatives. Bruce was unable to make it, but Andre was there for about a 2-hour meeting. And so they're gathering more information. This is a very fast project. It'll be done in 5 or 6 weeks. So once they have some product, we'll be happy to share that with you. And it'll be interesting recommendations on this incredible resource we have in Southeast Amherst, broadly called the Lawrence Swamp. So private lands, public lands, water supply lands, conservation lands, etc. So really exciting little project, and I think it'll be a great product for all of us to have. So Bruce,
I'm ready.
Yep.
So with regard to the Lawrence Swamp, if you have an interest in seeing the draft product from the Conway students, they give presentations on Friday the 27th, and it's at 3:00 or 3:15. It is a Zoom available. You should contact the school to sign up so you can get the link, or you can go to the school and sit there in person. It'd be wonderful. Anyway, with regard to our MVP grant. So just to remind you of the context, the town, because of the project we were involved in called Fort River Forward, the town, along with Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, got $480,000 from the MVP Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program. And a piece of that is the primary function of it is to assess our culverts, all the culverts in the 5 towns of the Fort River watershed. We're doing all the culverts, not just the watershed, because every town has parts that are not in the watershed, but still. A piece of that is gathering information from the public. To do that, each town has a liaison. I'm one of the 2 that Amherst is supposed to have. And we are going to hold our first public meeting on Monday, March 16th at 6 o'clock at the town hall. Please, all of you and members of the public who are seeing this, please do come. If you would like to spread the word more, contact me or probably Aaron to get the poster. You could print it out and stick it on bulletin boards wherever you think people will see it. But at a minimum, please come to the meeting, because what we're going to do is divide into groups and work around maps for the different subparts of the town to identify problem flooding areas, culvert things that people know. Part of it's educational. What is a culvert, for goodness sakes? We know that, but lots of people do not. As Carol has pointed out numerous times, some people don't even know there's a river in the middle of our town. So there's a lot of educating still to go. There will be dinner. This poster does not say so, but there will also be childcare. And please come. It'll last till, say, 8:30. And we're going to learn a lot to hand off to Planning Department, DPW, our own department. So this is a real opportunity to help guide the future that is related to our work. This is the poster, and as I say, we can get you it's not a PDF, it's some other acronym, but anyway, we can get the poster to you. You could print it out, send it, and put it up places. Thank you. And it would be helpful to RSVP so we know how many dinners to order. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Yep.
Was there something that Aaron wanted to say, or?
I just wanted to remind Bruce about the RSVP thing because I knew they needed a head count for the food.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's really good food. PVPC knows how to order. I can tell you this because I went to the Shutesbury version of this, and it was as a side
I will
note.
be there.
As a side note, the Beth Wilson of RDPW is the liaison for Shutesbury, and so just please do come. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. All right. Let's see. Do we have any other business land management updates, Aaron?
We don't have any land use applications today, so and I pushed the discussion for Gold Pond till after the first hearing. So yeah, we're ready to go into hearings whenever you want.
All right. Well, we're going to move into our hearings. First, we're going to run through general procedures for fairness to all applicants. We've got 20 minutes for each hearing with 5 minutes for the applicant, 5 minutes for the staff to comment, 5 minutes for public comment, and then commissioners will have another 5 minutes. 2 minutes per person from the public and no more. And let's see. The commission requires that all submitted and revised materials be submitted by the Wednesday, the week before the meeting at close of business. When you're presenting, please clearly state your name, address of the project, and who you're representing. and if you have any preferred pronouns. Anyone from the public, please state your name and address and any preferred pronouns. Robert Rules of Order. Anyone attending needs to remain muted unless you're speaking. That includes us. Anyone wishing to speak, raise your hand, please, until you're recognized by the chair. And all communications need to be addressed through the chair. With that, we'll move into our first hearing. First hearing is an RDA, request for determination submitted by IDC LLC to confirm whether activities depicted on submitted plans are subject to the Wetlands Protection Act and Wetlands Protection under Town of Amherst General Bylaw for the installation of a commercial sign, flower bed, permeable patio area, and fencing and bordering land subject to flooding at 169 Meadow Street, map 4B, lot 6. Do we have folks here to present for IDC LLC?
Yes, we do. Add them in.
I see Anna Cook. Anna, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Great. I'm Anna Cook, Integrity Development and Construction. IDC LLC is just the LLC we made for this project, but IDC stands for Integrity Development and Construction. We are hoping to purchase the property at 169 Meadow Street. We would like to install a commercial sign for our business, and we need to add a door for egress. And so immediately outside the new door, we'd like to install a patio 12.5 feet by 24 feet with 2 sections of cedar fencing, so blocking the east side and the south side, essentially shielding the view of the patio from the road. It's intended as a break area for our employees. We're here because the entire property is in the flood zone. And so that's what we're seeking approval on. Around the sign, there is an existing sign on the property if anybody has driven by or stopped by. We're proposing that the sign where it's closest to the road the new sign would be no closer than that moment, but the sign would be a couple feet bigger, growing to the north, so closer to the building and away from the road. Proposing a small planting bed around the area. But in terms of the planting bed and the patio, any material we remove will haul off site, and we aren't increasing the volume of that area. So like top of new patio will equal top of current grass, and the planting bed will equal the current planting bed in terms of the height. We do propose installing straw wattles around both of the work areas for erosion control. And I think that's it. I think I'm under 5 minutes.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah.
Okay, and Aaron for the town.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns with the project. It was really just a sort of procedural that they needed to come through us because it is in a resource area. I don't, based on what they're proposing, think there's going to be any alterations to resource area. So it's a pretty simple recommendation for a motion that I've put together. And then there's just a couple conditions for straw wattles, stabilization, and just making sure that the wattles stay in good condition during construction. That's about it. Very simple project.
Thanks, Aaron. Do we have any members of the public who would like to speak to this? I see 2 members of the public. Anybody, if you do want to speak to this, please raise your hand. Okay, I see no hands up. Anyone with any commissioners have any questions? My first is, you said that, Anna, that it's not going to add anything. Is it going to add impermeable surface through the patio?
No impermeable surface, so we're going to use permeable pavers. I suppose the only area would be the fence posts, so several 5.5 by 5.5 squares. But aside from that, the pavers themselves will be permeable with a standard prep, a stone below them.
Okay. Any questions from other commissioners? Well, Dave?
Yes, thank you, Anna and Heidi for coming to present tonight. I just wanted to call your attention. We, the town, are your neighbors to the east along the Mill River. So perhaps as you move forward, we could, meet at some point and just go over access. There is
Sure.
a small conservation area right there along the Mill River that we purchased from a wonderful North Amherst family some years ago, and we may just want to chat and make sure we understand you and you understand us. There are currently no trails there, and it's really doesn't lend itself to parking. So it's
Mhm.
a wonderful conservation area that helps preserve the riparian corridor along the Mill River. So maybe
Yeah,
you saw it.
absolutely. Yeah,
Maybe
we'd welcome that.
yeah, we can talk and do a walkabout later in the spring.
Sounds
But
great.
it's a wonderful building with a lot of history, and
Mhm.
wish you the best there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Didn't that used to be
Auction barn.
a butcher shop or something as well? I remember taking that they would butcher deer there or something.
Oh, I don't know. I know, it was the pot shop most recently, and then it was the Douglas Auction Barn for as long as I can remember, but I don't know, who knows during that time. Could have served more than one purpose.
Yeah. Okay, well, with that then, thank you, Anna. With that, we'll look for a motion. It's a long one. I know we're looking for new motion folks, if you can.
All right, well, I'll move to issue a determination of applicability, issuing a positive determination under the Town of Amherst Wetlands Bylaw, checking box 5, and a negative determination under the Wetlands Protection Act, checking box 2, subject to the following conditions. Applicant must notify the conservation agent when the staked straw wattle is installed or provide photos of the completed installation. Straw wattles must remain in place and in functional condition throughout the work. And 3, site must be fully stabilized with seed and straw upon completion of the work and seed established prior to the removal of the straw wattle.
I'll second it, Sarah. Also, Jason, you do a very good job of that.
Thank you. I'm reading.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got Jason with a motion and Sarah with a second. Sarah,
I.
Tina,
I.
Carol,
Right.
Rachel,
Abstain.
uh, Jason,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. I think
And
I
I
got
like to vote
Bruce.
too.
Yep, Bruce, sorry.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Thank you. With that, you're all set to go, Anna and Heidi.
Great. Thanks so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all for presenting. All right, well, that concludes our hearings for the evening. We have, all right, so if Sarah, if we're ready, I suppose we can start talking about Gull Pond. I wasn't preparing to do anything on this tonight. In fact, I'd rather just table it until we're ready to talk about it. So now we move into a discussion on conservation land management policy and regulations. Dave?
Andre, could I just give a quick update on Gull Pond?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
give a quick update, but there were some concerns about it that we do need to be discussing.
Sure. Well, if it would be great if somebody could put those in writing and send them to us, that would be helpful for the next meeting.
Yeah, I think we're going to discuss them in the meeting.
Okay, it's always helpful to know what they are so we can prepare if possible so staff can prepare.
I
But
think we already had a quick discussion about that last week.
okay, I'm not sure what the concerns are, but what I wanted to say is that we're in the process of ordering a stream gauge So as part of the work to raise the water level as soon as, again, as soon as winter is done with us, um, Aaron and I will work to install a stream gauge there so that we can really bring the pond level up to, what is deemed the appropriate and the healthiest level, if you will, of the pond. And that way we can also have kind of an objective over time look that the pond should stay at that stream gauge level. And I'm happy to have Sarah and the neighbors come out again when we have our consultant out there, and we'll work together to determine that pond level of the stream gauge right there in the outflow area. I believe that's probably the best place, but we can determine that in the field. The stream gauge is I think on order. So as soon as winter releases its hold on us, we'll get Beaver Solutions out there with a stream gauge and raise that pond level up this spring. And then that way, anytime you go by, you can see, hey, it's at this level and that's where it should stay. So that way it's not a kind of a guessing game over time. So that's my only quick update. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave. Sarah?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. That sounds great. That would be great to, I'm sure that folks would love to come out and meet and be part of that. That'd be great. And the only question I have, I don't know if this is a possibility, but I was thinking if there's any chance that it could be raised before all the snow melts, then we'd have the benefit of the snow helping to raise the level. Do you think that's at all possible?
Let me mull that over a little bit. It's mainly just seeing who will get in the water, how soon people will get in the water, because it's not going to be us.
Right.
So it's really just a practical question of when does Beaver Solutions start getting in ponds, because it's not only us, it's all their clients. So I think we can certainly take advantage of all the runoff we're going to see, because that pond also fills from the watershed to the east, coming down toward the pond and then heading toward the Fort River. But let me check into that. I think it's still iced over at this point, right? So
yeah, I haven't looked at it, but probably
let me take
although it melts pretty quickly because
yeah,
it's
I mean
not
this all
yeah.
could be gone in 2 weeks.
Right.
Maybe
I know.
March.
We'll be 90 before
Well, the March sun is high and warmer,
Yeah.
so but
Yeah.
we'll do the best we can to get somebody in there to raise that. But let's coordinate that day. Once we know it, I'll get it out to you all, and then we can meet out there with our consultant. We'll have the stream gauge should be here next week, and that'll just be ready to go.
Yeah,
And then
that's great. Anne Green
Yeah.
will super appreciate that. So that's terrific. Thanks.
And then you all can, watch that stream gauge and make sure it stays where it is. And if they need to come back and tweak it a little, it either they adjusted the beaver deceiver too high or too low, we'll be able to just adjust it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Dave. I don't see any reason why not to just continue to talk, to finish this conversation anyway here, Dave. One of the things that I am pretty concerned about, and we've been kind of touching on this in the policies and regs, is the fact that the commission was not notified prior to the actions on Gold Pond. So that's where the discussion comes in here. According to the regs and everything, we're supposed to be notified, and it didn't happen. So are you ready to discuss that right now, or do you want some time for that?
No, I don't have a lot to say about that. I think I explained some of those actions weeks or months ago when we talked about this, but I'd be happy to firm up that procedure in the future, to make sure that the commission is more involved in that process. So happy to do that.
Yeah, okay. Well, that was my main concern, and also the concern of our fellow commissioner who wanted to make sure that this was discussed
Mhm.
during a meeting.
Happy to do
Yeah.
that, yes.
It seems like we're satisfied with that. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's figure out a procedure that won't result in in us being notified after the fact.
Mhm. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. With that, we're ready to move into the conservation land management policy and regs discussion. I will let me make sure that before we start in with the regs, I'd like to mention last week the vice chair and I had a meeting with the conservation director and conservation agent regarding hunting as part of the regs, the regulation updates, if you would. And we discussed some administrative issues regarding how next steps and so on for the hunting regulations. And what we decided was probably the best way to go about it is to include the hunting portion in what we're preparing right now for the land use updates or land management policy and regulations draft. That way it all moves through as one package. We're aiming to have everything done as kind of a moving target, if you would, but looking for possibly June 1st. That's one of the reasons we've been setting aside big chunks of time to review all of these regulations. And let's see, the director did share some information about meetings that staff has had with the town's attorney and with the police department regarding hunting on conservation lands. Specifically, there is a law that essentially excludes state land and subdivisions thereof, which when you look at the definition of state lands and subdivisions thereof, it includes towns. So all lands are excluded from hunting unless they're mentioned specifically. That is, correct me if I'm wrong, Mass General Law 131, Section 59. You can look it up and it's got some wording there. As far as meeting with Amherst PD, the general idea was that some places within some of the town conservation lands might present issues with hunting. Let's say, as an example, Puffer's Pond. And that others didn't seem to be as much of a problem. So most likely, so what we're gonna start to do is take a look at at all the different properties and start to eliminate some of the ones like Puffer's Pond that we just mentioned that don't make much sense to consider opening or keeping open, if you would, to hunting. And we'll go from there. Another item that came up was the fact that the state is currently doing, these are my words, whatever they can to get folks to get hunters to go out and hunt deer, because they're highly concerned about the deer populations increasing exponentially and having issues with some of the highest rates of deer vehicle collisions and Lyme disease, as well as others, but we can get into that at some other point. Right now, what they're doing, they've been holding hearings on where they're possibly going to open Sunday hunting or Sunday to hunting. They're also looking at minimizing the setbacks from homes, from residences, and allowing crossbows to be used by people who are not who do not have physical needs for that, who can't draw a regular bow. Currently, the law states that you can only do it with a doctor's note and certification, I think, from the Environmental Police, or I don't know exactly whom. So, and then they just came out with some new ones where they're looking to extend the deer hunting season into February or into for an extra couple of weeks and make that permanent at the beginning of the season. And then on Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, and the areas out east, they're looking to extend them into February. I can't give you the exact wording on that, but anyway, that's that for a not so quick update on the hunting portion of the conservation land management policy and regulations. Jason.
Can you elaborate that statement that you made, or reciting that law that all land is essentially excluded from hunting unless otherwise posted? When we had talked about that previously, we said that it had to be marked, no hunting allowed, and there was conversation about the signage required. Does that law mean that really it needs to be marked in the affirmative then that you can hunt on the land? Or does it all still need to be marked that you can't hunt on it?
As I see it, Jason, having read that regulation, it's undefined. Dave mentioned that during the conversation with the town's attorney, that it does not have to be marked either way. But that's yeah, I mean, can you imagine someone coming from adjacent land and walking into that property, for example, a property, and not having any indication that the land is closed? How are they supposed to know? Conversely, if someone's going into a trail and there's no marking saying, hey, hunting's permitted, what do these let's say hikers or dog walker, how are they supposed to know? So I think as we move forward in the conversations on hunting, I think it's from my point of view, it's become evident to me that we, as a conservation commission, and the town as a conservation department, needs to do a bit of a better job of making sure the public, both people who hunt and people who don't hunt, understand what what's going on in the lands and so on. And this all kind of folds into the new sign project that Dave is working so diligently on. I hope that answers your question. All right. Well, with that, we did make it to page 8 on our draft regulations. Page 8 meaning excuse me, up to agriculture APRs, agricultural preservation restrictions. And let's see, correct me if I'm wrong, but we did not start APRs, or we did? Um,
I don't believe we started APRs.
okay,
I have some verbiage to add to that section.
go for it.
Okay. The Agricultural Preservation Restriction Program is a collaborative restriction program that partners with municipalities, land trusts, state and federal government agencies to purchase the development rights on lands deemed valuable for agricultural production. This process renders the land solely for agricultural use. The town of Amherst has 40 APRs totaling 2,200 acres or 12% of the town's land.
That sounds really good.
Do you want me to just paste that into the chat?
Yeah, if you have it, Erin, what do you think?
I don't think we have a chat on here, Tina, but I know you sent me some edits. If that content is in addition to the edits you already sent me, if you just want to email me that, I can just insert it in there.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember. And then I made a little note. The majority of APRs are co-held with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The state APR program is charged with monitoring and enforcement of APRs. However, the town of Amherst has APRs not co-held by the state. So essentially, the town has APRs that they're the sole grantee on, which is a little unusual.
Dave, could you explain how that works?
Can you hear me? I'm gonna have to do a little research on that, Tina. Do you know specifically? I know of one APR that is solely held by the town. It's a what we call a local APR. Um,
Yeah, I don't know.
and we have CRs, I'm sorry, CRs with an agricultural focus. But yeah, those are I can think of maybe a handful that are in that category. But most are co-held with the Commonwealth.
Yeah, most are co-held with the state. I know of one that only the town has. It's really hard to find if there are more because they don't show up on any data we have. So I can make that say the town of Amherst has at least one
Do you
APR.
know the name of that APR? I'll have to take a
I
look.
don't know the name, but I sent Aaron the deed at one point.
Oh, okay. I know of one in North Amherst, but we'll take a look at that. Yeah, I appreciate you referencing that, but we'll take a look at that.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for that wording, Tina. Next up is encroachments. Do we have any comments on that?
I have a comment on that one. Oh, sorry. I'll use the hand feature.
Yeah, go ahead. I see Sarah's got her hand up. Tina,
Yeah, I
you-
just want to tell you that I just pulled up, I think it's called a private agricultural preservation restriction. And I just pulled up a document about guidance. So there's information on the state website about ones that are not held by the Commonwealth. I can help you guys look at it. If anybody's interested, I can pass it on.
Yeah, I'm interested in it. It does sound quite interesting there. Thanks, Sarah. Tina?
I had a comment to add to the encroachments, which is the removal of boundary markers is punishable by law. And then I need to find that reference because I think it's like $150 if you remove a boundary marker, which is something we frequently tell people.
All right, that sounds good. Yeah, if you can find the law, and we should probably just cite. Um, so if we can make a note there to add a site. And I did have just a quick question for possible clarification. It does say, removing boundary markers, installing lawns or utilities, or using, storing, or depositing vehicles, comma, substantial amounts of materials. What constitutes substantial amounts? And of course, if we don't have that defined, then we why is it just depositing depositing substantial amounts and not just depositing materials? So I would take out substantial amounts, or substantial amounts of, sorry. All right, thanks. Any other comments on encroachments? Comments on liability? Oh, I'm sorry, Rachel.
Yeah, I know it's a legal document. I wonder if what people think about swapping out de minimis for just the word minor, so that non-legal, uh, non-legal readers can understand what we're saying.
Yeah, where is that? I'm sorry, I didn't.
It's in the middle of the paragraph under encroachments. It's
Yeah.
cutting trees or other vegetation other than de minimis cutting. Could just say other than minor cutting.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Okay. Thanks.
Jason.
Do we address anywhere, and I don't know if this comes up, but I assume it does. Do we address anywhere the impeding and pounding water from flowing from one property onto conservation land or from conservation land onto neighboring properties, changing the water flow, one way or the other?
I don't see that it's anywhere here, but it is but I mean that would be in the wetland, wouldn't that be covered under the town of Amherst wetland
Just the bylaws?
bylaws? Yeah, I believe. I mean, it's
So I
I
can't
think
raise my hand when I'm sharing.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So Jason, are you getting at like when people go into streams and build like dams in streams and that type of thing? Like, I mean, kids will take rocks and kind of pile them
Yeah,
up.
I mean, we're talking about erecting buildings, other structures, cutting vegetation, altering, damage or alteration to the land or vegetation. Um, I would just like to see something that states, damage or alteration to the land, vegetation, or flow of water. Because if somebody, two reasons. One, we've had a very clear instance of, or we've had two very clear instances where someone dumping their water onto another property has caused the creation of a wetland that is now a resource area. But then vice versa, then like if somebody goes and prevents that flow of water and dries up a wetland, or has a negative effect on a wetland, similar to the removal of vegetation. I think we should just add that because I think it's an important aspect of preserving resources.
I would second that.
Yeah, so I'm completely fine with us doing that. I will say under our wetland bylaw regulations, we do have a requirement that you cannot discharge or cause water to be deposited onto your neighbor's property. So we do have a provision like that. It would be illegal for somebody to dam up a water body. But I think I'm comfortable adding it here. Just wanted to sort of cite those other sort of regulatory items as well.
I know that some people might have drainage issues on their property and
Yeah.
then put a swale on their property and then potentially discharge more water in a concentrated manner that will erode,
Mhm.
go down a
Yeah.
slope, whatever. So I think
Yeah.
we should state that.
Focusing it
Jason,
towards public land.
can you put some wording in there, Jason, or suggest the wording for it, and where?
I would add it to the first sentence. Activity that causes substantial damage or alteration to the land vegetation, or flow of water, land vegetation. I mean,
Water
'cause-
flow?
yeah. Sorry, what was that, Andre?
Sorry, water flow?
Yeah, water flow regime, unimpeded bypass of water. I don't know.
I think we're good. Does that look good to you, Jason?
Yeah.
We could also say flow of water bodies, but that might not be all encompassing for like wetlands or drainage. So I think keeping it open-ended is good.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right,
good with that.
great. Well, thanks, Jason. Okay, liability. Do we have any suggestions on the liability? None. Agriculture?
I had some comments on the bullet points.
Sure.
So I would change build to increase organic matter in soils. And use plants to absorb CO2. And then it says use low to no-till practices. I would say use organic low to no-till practices because no-till does not mean organic. And after practices two, I would say to improve soil structure. And then it also says to reduce CO2 output from machinery, but as no-till practices have advanced, it's not becoming less machine intensive per se. So I don't know if that's something we want to keep in there.
Do you think we should remove it?
Um, I would. I think the CO2 emissions from farm equipment is pretty low on the scale of where CO2 emissions are coming from in Massachusetts.
Is that agreeable to everyone?
It makes sense, but we're still I think the idea is that part of the idea there is to reduce the CO2 emissions or output in general, and I think this was perhaps put in as well to show that we are trying to do something there. I think in other words, I don't think that it hurts to have it there. Tina?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really change what effectively is going to happen on the ground, but I do think one less pass of a tractor isn't a huge emitter of CO2s. Also to say there are now electric tractors.
True. Okay. Thanks, Tina. Sarah?
Well, I don't know, maybe this doesn't help. I was just gonna say, you might take out the two if you're worried about, so it's just both. Use the organic low no-till practices to improve soil structures, and you could just, if you're worried about them together, but that's a minor point maybe.
You mean add an extra bullet? Is that what you're suggesting, Sarah?
Well, you could just leave it as and. I mean, in other words, if you think that the that the organic low and no-till practices might be conducted with machinery, but you also have a goal of reducing the machinery, you could just say and. I may have misunderstood what Tina was saying, but it's kind of a small point.
I think I changed the spirit of the sentence really because this was saying to use no-till practices to reduce CO2 emissions, but that's not really the landscape of like when no-till started, there wasn't equipment for it, but now there is. So it's not really the goal of no-till anymore to reduce CO2.
Right. So do you think that it's a problem if there's also a goal of reducing CO2 emissions from machinery?
It wouldn't
Because
be my goal for agriculture, but high organic matter soils capture more carbon. So I think that
Right.
could be the more proactive way of putting it.
Okay, it's fine with me, what you just said. I was just trying to help.
Uh,
All right. Bruce, you had a comment before, or you had your hand up?
I would also add the use of cover crops to reduce runoff and improve resiliency of cropland, comma, every effort should be made to reduce prolonged periods of bare soil. And I really think that's the most important thing a tenant farmer can do on this land. Bare soil is like the worst thing you can possibly see on farmland for so many reasons.
Tina, could you restate the other bullets that you suggested?
Yep, use cover crops to reduce runoff and improve resiliency of cropland. Comma, every effort should be made to reduce prolonged periods of bare soil.
Bare soil?
Yep.
Very important. Thanks, Tina. Now, Bruce?
Given that Tina just said it's the most important thing, please put it as the first bullet.
Yeah, I would almost say it wouldn't be out of line to require that tenant farmers use cover crops.
I would agree with that.
Do you want me to change the language to say are encouraged? So
Um,
should we do a separate line at the bottom that says tenant farmers are required to use cover crops so that it's not one of these recommended, but it's actually required?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It's not a hardship in any way. It's just built into someone's plan.
let's put it up above there because let me see where we could put it. Maybe before, yeah, right at the beginning of that before agriculture, or agriculture can be a significant contributor to climate change resilience, period. Then that sentence, and then in addition, comma, the following approaches are encouraged by the commission.
Something like that.
I would, so use of cover crops to reduce runoff and improve resiliency of cropland.
Maybe I should say use
how
of
about
cover
how about
crops is required.
the
I
use
think you
of
should start with tenants are required to.
Well, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah, please.
So
Please.
anybody who has an APR must now use cover crops? Is that what you're saying?
No,
No.
Okay,
this is separate from the APR section. This is the agricultural lands the town can lease,
oh,
not encumbered necessarily.
So Carol, if somebody wanted to have a crop on a piece of conservation land, these would be the requirements
oh,
for
I
use
see.
of
All
that
right.
land.
Okay, I get it.
Thanks, Carol. Jason?
When these tenant farmers enter into an agreement with the town, are these things, I assume that there's a much longer document or something that they have to sign, they have to present a plan. Um, I think we can mention that it's required here, right? But is it also spelled out specifically in that plan or whatever they're required? So that this is not just I want to make sure this is not the only place where this is mentioned then if it's going to be a requirement.
It should be redundant in the contract, right?
Yeah. I assume they're required to submit a plan. I don't know. I've never seen one. And I also want to, Bruce is pointing down.
Well,
Yeah.
it's further on in the document.
Yeah.
We spent a huge amount of time developing a process for getting the licenses.
Okay. And then I would like to add to the original kind of opening paragraph of agriculture. Goals of the license agreements are to protect, maintain, improve soil health. And I think water quality should be added to that. A huge benefit of cover cropping is just reducing the loss of topsoil, especially if they're adjacent to a creek or stream. I mean, they all have drainage channels, and most farms will have drainage channels that will lead to a water body, or then those drainage channels themselves become habitat and then need to get mucked out or, dredged, whatever you want to call it. So there's a huge benefit to water quality as well.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
All right, did we get the wording settled here on for the cover crops? Tenants are required to use and every effort should be made to reduce periods of bare soil. All right.
I have one more comment on the final bullet point. I added, so it said work with the commission to create water, and I added and wildlife buffers, particularly I'm thinking pollinators, that reduce flooding during weather intensive events. But I'm curious as to what the intent of this is because I can envision a scenario in which a water buffer might preclude the cleaning of a ditch. So I'm just curious what this means.
Bruce? You're muted, sorry.
I don't remember why we put that in there.
So I think that was intended to be like an area for like preserving natural vegetation between cropland and say resource area or like windbreak kind of scenario. Pretty sure that we were trying to make sure that we're preserving some natural vegetation between areas where Like, let's say there's a wetland area between where the field edge is to have some native, native vegetation buffer in between that area and say a resource area or other area.
In
Got
that
it. That
case,
makes sense.
adding the wildlife to it actually makes a lot of sense there to work toward that.
Sometimes that can help keep deer out of a field.
Yeah, true. Dave.
Yeah, I struggled with this wording a little bit. I like Bruce, can't really remember all the details of the subcommittee, but the whole phrase water buffers, I just never see that used. To me, it's more, aren't we talking about create and maintain vegetated buffers along water courses or something like that for for essentially for the protection, to Jason's point, for the protection of the river or stream or wetland, for wildlife habitat, and for flood mitigation. So the whole water buffers are, I just have never seen those two words kind of used like that. So vegetated buffers along rivers and streams and wetlands or something like that.
That makes sense. Actually, I think the word that Aaron used, riparian buffers, would probably be solve the whole issue. Instead of so get rid of vegetative, just leave riparian buffers. Um, and that would kind of accomplish the goal. Does that make sense to us all?
Yep.
Okay. I did see a hand up. Jason, you put your hand back down. Is that okay? All right. Anything else on this section before we move to agricultural use policy? All right. Let's move on to that. Anything on the initial note or the goal? All right. Then we have the objectives. Anything on the objectives?
Bruce is raising his hand, Andre.
Bruce, please.
Aaron, can you make this 10% bigger? I can barely read it at this scale. There, thank you.
I highlighted number 4. Annually receives and reviews a report from the Director of Conservation and Development on each licensed agricultural parcel and conducts a site visit to each parcel. I brought this up maybe in the last meeting but the answer that because I've never seen one of these, but the answer I got was that there are none. There are no licensed agricultural parcels. Is that correct, Aaron or Dave?
That's true. Right now, we don't have any agricultural licenses.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that because I'd never seen one. So thanks for that clarification.
We've had them off and on, over the past 30 years, but currently we do not.
Okay.
In part because we were waiting for this new policy and why engage with new farmers when things might change. So having all of this codified is good because then we can move forward on kind of solid, new, clarified footing.
Thanks, Dave. We like good. Jason.
Yeah, I guess kind of to that point, I'd like to see something here stating that the Conservation Commission will, maintain a list or a map of licensed agricultural properties and properties that are potentially available to be licensed. So I think that should be added somewhere here.
All right, that makes sense. Would that could probably fit right into that number 4 then? A report from the Director of Conservation Development on each licensed agricultural parcel.
I wouldn't lump it in there because I don't know if we want to put it on the Director of Conservation and Development. But I mean, unless we're not, we might be getting in the weeds, but like if this is a GIS map, is the Director of Conservation going to actually be the one putting that together? Is there another, or does that not matter? That person delegates that.
That's how I mean I think the whole idea, and I think this is something that I've been wanting to have as a discussion. The whole idea is that the Conservation Commission works with the Director of Conservation and Development, works with the, the commission is a regulatory, if you would, entity that works with the conservation department of the town. And we do it through the director, typically, because that's where the ultimate responsibility lies. And then the town, so that's how we deal with the town, if you would. And then the director, he or she, will then work through their command structure, if you would, or through their structure to achieve what they're doing. That, I think that's why the wording goes to the director. It doesn't mean that Dave has to go out there and make these GIS maps and stuff. But so the other side of having the director do this is that the Conservation Commission does it. So it's one or the other, so to speak. That makes sense. So because of that, that's what where it would. Well, hang on a second, Carol. Sorry.
Hi.
All right, go ahead, Carol.
I agree with you.
All right, thank you.
No,
Thank
I
you.
think that's a good point. I'm curious, Dave, in the past, when you say there have been some of these tenant farmers, has the commission actually gone and visited these parcels, these farms?
94932. Okay, and do you know where I called?
Oops, getting a little feedback from somebody there. Yeah, I before I lost my point, I think the subcommittee, Andre, that's where the subcommittee landed, which was exactly how you explained it, that, it's kind of the commission working with me, and then I delegate, and it could be conservation staff, be it the conservation agent or the land manager or assistant land manager, or it could be somebody in the planning department. We often collaborate. And so the open space and recreation plan has been worked on by probably 6 or 7 different staff in town service. What we've done historically with these, Carol, is we've had multiple, in years past, we've had 2 members, I don't want to get into too much detail, but we've had at least 2 members of the Conservation Commission sit on a subcommittee to review and make recommendations as to who should receive a license. So the commission is there, let's say we have 2 staff, that's what we've had, or excuse me, 2 commission members, a couple of staff, and together you've made recommendations to the full commission as to who should get a license. I'm not aware that commission members have ever gone out and visited those sites, but maybe going back some years, there probably was some site visits to the former fields that were farmed at Amethyst Brook. There were also fields that were farmed at Wentworth Farm Conservation Area. Those are and also Haskins Meadow up on East Leverett Road are three that I can think of off the top of my head.
Thanks, Dave.
So it was a commission, my point being it was a commission staff collaborative effort.
Thank you. Rachel, did you have a question still?
I was just wondering if it would help to say, anything delegates responsibility to the Director of Conservation Commission and Development or their designated, representative. And that way, whoever Dave as the department needs to reach out to has the authority to reach out to.
I think we can put it in. Yep, it's yeah. I kind of figure that it's
Implied,
that
yeah.
it's implied. Yeah, because I mean, if you receive a report from the direct, just like I mean, I think you'll find that there are many instances within the regs and within state regs and so on where it mentions the director or it mentions the town, and essentially it's whomever Dave or whomever the person in Dave's position determines, but it can be put there if I think the less words the better, but it's yeah, I think it's implied, Rachel. So let's make another back to where we were just before. Let's make another number here. With a looking for the town to have to provide a excuse me to provide a list or a listing of places that will be available for farming.
Aaron, can you just, I know you wrote the town shall provide a list, but the starting point is the Conservation Commission. So I think delegate responsibility to the Director of Conservation and Development to provide and maintain a list of.
No, just say, provide a list.
Yeah, I mean delegates. I would say. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Just like you just said, delegates. Can.
So it's for some reason, I don't know why it's doing this, but it's forcing me to have it in all caps. So I'm gonna have to go through and fix it. I'm sorry, I tried to mess with it to get it to stop doing that, but I'll correct it after the fact. So just bear with me on the all caps for right now.
Can you word it with the beginning of delegates responsibility to the director, conservation and development, or their designee, to provide a list?
Map. I'll fix the wording of this. I realize it's kind of properties
Mhm.
that are available. Is that what that are available for leasing or available for
Licensing.
Or
Licensing.
yeah, okay.
licensing? Sorry, it's hard to type and think at the same time. Delegates responsibility to the Director of Conservation and Development or their designee to provide a list
Or
or a map. of properties that are available for licensing. Does that sound okay?
That's great.
So,
Sarah?
yeah, I don't know what this list is and if somebody's already decided on what properties in Amherst are, but I mean, I think that the Conservation Commission has to okay the use of conservation land for farming. So I don't know if they already did it at some point and you're talking about, but you know, it should say at the end as approved by the commission or something like that. Because in other words, the commission has to approve what property is available for farming.
Well, that makes sense. But it's, yeah, I mean, if they have one thing is to provide a list of properties that are available for licensing, and another thing is that they are actually licensed.
Right, but I just think, you could just add at the end of that sentence, as has been approved by the commission or something like that.
In other words, we're going to approve the
I think so, because I mean, there probably are existing, like you said, there's Amethyst has historically been licensed, for farming, and so has Wentworth, where I walk all the time. There are areas that have been historically licensed, but sort of generally speaking, that wouldn't happen without Conservation Commission okay, some new parcel. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean now. I had a question that I wanted to ask regarding the wording here. What you're saying then is that the list or map should be approved by the list or map of property.
Or just, it could just say as have been
Please don't
approved.
interrupt me, Sarah.
Oh,
Just
sorry.
let me finish what I'm saying. Because if what we're saying is that we should approve the list or map that one thing is the director of conservation and development providing a list, and a different thing is that we approve that list.
Right.
And if we say that the director should, can you move your thing off of there? Thanks. That the director should provide this list or map of places that are available, then how do we approve it if we don't have that list? In other words, let the director set forth this list, and then the Conservation Commission approves or doesn't.
Well, then it should be proposed. If you want the director to give a list of areas proposed to be available for approval by the commission, then it should say that.
Sure.
Well, those are two different things, two different steps. One, you have the approved list, and then two, you have the list of those that are actually let out, right? Two
Or
different.
that are available for leasing. I thought that's what Jason's point was, that people need to know what's available.
Well, yes, but then we're also saying that we're going to inspect and so on the ones that we need, the list of the ones that are being let, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So there's three things.
Dave?
Goes on forever.
Yeah, certainly the subcommittee, we had very extensive conversations on this topic. Just two or three quick points. One, I agree with Sarah. Of course, these would be recommended or proposed. Staff would propose to the commission for their approval, for the commission's approval, the use of XYZ portions of the following conservation areas for agricultural licensing, 3 acres here, 7 acres there, 4 acres there, whatever it might be. And staff would make recommendations for you all to review, consider, approve, deny, or change. So 100% agree on that. And that's how it's been done in the past years ago when we had more agricultural licensing. licenses. That's how the commission did it. They approved, again, 4 acres at Wentworth Farm is one I can think of. So absolutely. I'm having a little trouble mixing and matching what these is this the policy for people who are going to apply for these licenses? Again, it's a little hard to take it out of context here, and I don't have a hard copy in front of me. But anyway, that's my quick agreement that yes, it would be proposed list and map of properties and their attributes, because you're going to want to know, and we got into this deeply in the subcommittee, you're going to want to know access, parking, relationship to trails, relationship to water. Water is the key feature of any agricultural land that is to be licensed. If that farmer does not have access to water, it is very unlikely that they will want to till that land. And that is what we have found historically. So anyway, there'll be lots of considerations for you all to review.
Thanks for your insight, Dave. I propose that we take out the word available and put in proposed and leave it at that and move on, because we have a lot of things to do. All right. Anything else on this? Did we get this fairly set here? Okay. Comments on strategies. Tina.
I would add a number 10, which is holds an information session at properties when RFPs go live. My observation of farmers is that you need to tell them something. If you give them something to read, they're not going to read it.
I'm sorry, Tina, could you, where were you?
Under strategies, there's a
sorry.
1 through 9 list. Oh, I don't think it's that far down.
Yeah, sorry, it went crazy. Okay.
There you go.
Yep, so there's 9, and then 10, holds an information session at properties when RFPs go live. Or before, at some time before we review.
Say again, what's an RFP?
The request for proposal.
I would spell it out.
It's abbreviated many places throughout this document, like in number 2.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's defined elsewhere. So what's the consensus? Should I go RFP or spell it out?
At the first one and then put RFP in parens.
I think that's something, yes, that can be done later on.
Yeah.
The first mention of it should be spelled out with the acronym in parenthesis, and then use the acronym from that point forward.
Thanks for that suggestion. Anything else on the under strategies, the Conservation Commission? Policies for agricultural and conservation land.
I had something on number 7. When it talks about employing non-lethal strategies to get rid of pests, I don't think that's reasonable. Like in the case of like mice and voles and woodchucks and such. You can like lose a whole field to little animals like that.
So the proposal is to remove non-lethal?
I would.
I disagree.
What are you employing then? I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, Tina, but she'll do what?
To put out mouse traps or
No,
the
but I
like.
mean, what wording do you want to substitute?
I would just take it out. Let's see.
I have a different suggestion.
Okay.
Replace the word only with whenever possible.
Yep. I think that makes it pretty clear that a mouse trap is viable.
And I'm saying this in part, remembering the long discussion we had about this one and trying to honor those who got it put in there. So thank
So
you.
one thing I'll just say about this is just, and I would have to scan the whole document to refresh my memory, but I would want to make sure that they're not using something like glue traps or rodenticides or something that's going to poison the whole food chain of the conservation area. Like we should be specific about if we're allowing lethal methods that it's not, that like I'd be fine with snap traps, but something that's going to cause poisoning down the line to, wildlife that are all around, I think is something that we should be cognizant of, that people use different things and some of them are really nasty.
Yeah, I think we could even spell that out. Like the use of rodenticides are expressly prohibited.
Absolutely.
All right, let me just make a note. Oops. What is going on with this computer? It's got a mind of its own tonight. I'm gonna say and glue traps because they're equally bad.
Uh,
I know I think we may have talked about this, so I don't want to duplicate it and I want to go through it, but I'll make sure that that's included one way or another.
in the wording, rodenticides, I'm thinking of rodenticides, poisons, and other chemical and other chemical poisons. So if you think about FIFRA, the Federal Insecticide, Rodenticide, and Fungicide Act, those we've had a lot of instances in my career in the past where those have been used, chemicals have been used to kill not just to kill predators and prey as well. So what you end up with a highly toxic circle of death, if you would, that ends up looking sort of like a target, if you would. In the middle, you find the poison with the poison bait or whatever, and around as you go around it, you find the initial targets, and then others that eat those targets, and so on. So, if we can ensure that all these chemicals are prohibited, and so I think by using the word of chemicals, chemicals and poisons, etc. Bruce.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else before we get down to procedures? Okay, any questions on procedures? I did have a comment on F, fees. Says,
Andre, before you go to F,
yes, go ahead.
Just to note that B says, see Appendix B for the application form. I think we may need to make sure that we review the form in the context of some of the changes that have been put in tonight, to make that they're coherent. Maybe I think Jason might have mentioned something like that, but I personally would ask Aaron to do that careful reconsideration rather than having us do it, but it does need to be done.
Excellent point. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Tina?
I was gonna make a comment about H after you talked about F.
All right. On F, it just says, will be charged an annual fee of $125 per acre. Is that a current fair price?
Pretty low. I
What-
heard a recent figure of 350 is like average, with it going as high as 600, which I would not recommend. But I think that fee of 125 an acre, if you're also charging them the cost of producing the signs, is pretty reasonable, depending on how much the signs cost.
Okay, then, so it is a reasonable fee.
Yep.
Thank you. That was my one question. Go ahead with your Tina, with your comment on H.
So in the management plan, I added a sentence at the very end saying an NRCS management plan is encouraged. And that stands for Natural Resource Conservation Service. They do management plans for free. I said encouraged and not required because they have very long wait times, so getting one can be pretty challenging, but I think it's a worthy endeavor for someone because it also opens them up to federal funding.
Mhm.
Did you say is recommended or
Or
encouraged?
encouraged.
Well, the other thing is any approach to NRCS has to be voluntary on the part of the farmers, so you can't make them do it.
The government can't, but we can.
Mm,
Andre, we are the government.
The federal government can't,
Oh.
but we can require it as a town government, yes.
Okay.
Distinction, sorry.
I don't know. I've heard over and over again, it's up to the farmer to approach NRCS.
If they're on their private property, you're correct, Carol, but if they're leasing land from the Conservation
Oh, I
Commission, the
see.
commission could
Okay.
require it as a condition.
All right, so,
Otherwise, what it is saying, it says encouraged. It's not actually,
all right, so you're not requiring it, you're encouraging.
but even if it was a requirement, it's up to the landowner to set conditions upon which they enter into
Yeah,
this.
okay.
Yeah. Thanks, though, Carol. Anything else on these on what we've just been through before we move into agricultural use of town conservation land? Okay. Any comments under crops?
Under crops, it says the planting of cannabis is not allowed. There is a THC distinction between hemp and cannabis, so I think it should be decided if that includes both hemp and marijuana, as opposed to just one or the other.
Okay. We could discuss that, I suppose. I, I would say that planting of marijuana with THC we should say that it's not allowed. I think the cannabis, I mean the hemp itself, I think there would be some requirements for exclusion of other people, of public and so on. I would say we just not permit it because there is hemp that until certified by the state that it doesn't have that it's not doesn't have too much THC in it, then it's possible that it's got THC. Not only that, but
Mhm.
how does somebody walking by there not know that, know what it is that they're looking at?
Right.
Let's say that we include both.
Yeah, I would spell it out. I would say including both hemp and cannabis,
That's a good idea.
or
Uh,
marijuana rather.
Okay, Dave?
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to recommend, Andre. And again, town attorney will review all of this, so he or she will be able to give us feedback on this section in particular. So thanks.
Excellent, thank you. And Dave, I mean, Jason, I suppose you were going at the same.
I was going to agree with you that we don't need somebody walking by and being like, "Ooh, what is this?" Not knowing what it is, and it's just unnecessary.
Even
There's
if
there's enough state and federal, there's enough private property doing that stuff all around that we don't need to use our conservation land for that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and imagine if somebody had hemp over there, and some other people walked by and thought that it was that it had THC in it, and they go and they rip all the plants out and take them home. Anyway, I think it would be inviting issues. Good catch, Tina. Anything else on the crops?
There was a section in here that says that do not require the use of a water course for irrigation. And Dave kind of touched on this when you said you see a lot of farmers walking away when there's no water. I would kind of ask if that could be on a case-by-case basis, if someone could put a pump in a water body for irrigation.
Could I comment on that, Andre?
Mhm.
I think, I don't see it here, but I think that's the way the subcommittee isn't it in there somewhere, Bruce or Aaron, that it is kind of on a case-by-case basis. An applicant could apply to the commission for permission to pump from a pond or a river or brook.
Rose?
I don't recall where it is.
I'd have to do like Dave to go find it, but I'm pretty sure that as part of the application process, they're giving us a plan. And if a piece of that plan has to be where's the water coming from, and because we're the commission, they would have to get permission. It'd have to be a permit for withdrawing the water. So
Mhm.
we could spell it out more, but I think the steps are there to protect that.
Yeah, I don't recall that it was elsewhere, but I can check and see.
What
It
if
just
we-
says give preference. It doesn't. It just says the commission will give preference for planting that doesn't require a water course. It doesn't say it's not allowed.
Let's do this. How about we put in the application, if it's not already there, what is the water source? And that then gives and then kind of some parenthesis, the commission shall or the commission will determine. I don't know. I think by doing that in the application, then that opens the conversation for the commission to consider whether there's a water source or not. For
It's a
the
good idea.
Jason.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it appears that we talk about irrigation in section Y of land use and management below. Irrigation issues and sources of irrigation water are site specific. If irrigation is proposed, management plan submitted for the commission, so on and so forth. So I do think it is addressed down below.
Thank you
Just
for
as-
finding it.
Yeah, that's good.
I wouldn't have been able to find it that fast.
All right. Well, thanks. Okay, as we're moving down through this section, any more comments? I can't read what's what comments are on O and P, just because I'm using, oh, I do see it now.
Oh, I had a comment about animals. I think if people are going to be having animals, I commented that we should not allow bulls. Perhaps just no large male animals in general.
Did you have a specific spot in mind to write that, like at the end of the
Just
sentence, at the end of
Yeah,
the
just at the
paragraph?
very end.
Okay.
I mean, I said I wrote from my notes, no bulls if public access is allowed.
And that's a public safety issue, Tina?
Yeah, they're pretty dangerous.
Okay.
And the number of stories I've heard where farmers are like people were in my pasture with the bull because people just want to go walk around everywhere. So I just wouldn't even let people do that.
I think these are all examples of how fortunate we have you and your expertise helping us out here, Tina.
Thanks. I just heard a lot of bad stories.
Not well, one of many, many pieces of good information you have.
Thanks, Carol. Bruce?
I should probably not do this, but I was going to object as a large male animal. But I grasp the reasoning now, so I withdraw my objection.
I don't think you've ever tried to kill anyone, so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Thanks for bringing that humor in.
Well, I'm starting to fade here, Andre, so I'm trying to keep it.
Absolutely. Well, we should probably have another 10 minutes of this now that you mentioned it, Bruce. I haven't really been looking at the clock, but anyway. Carol, did you have
No.
okay, Jason?
We mentioned fencing in the section below, but I think that, yeah, it says here for animals permitted on conservation land, agricultural uses, best management practices shall be utilized. It doesn't say anywhere in here that fencing is required if you are keeping animals. I think it's, potentially included in best management practices, but they need to be fenced, right? For to keep them from running away, but also that is a good indicator to keep people out. But we should clarify if that fencing includes stuff like barbed wire or some other type of, something other than like, can people use electric fences? Are we going to allow that? And so I think we ought to clearly state what is and what is not acceptable as a fence or as a means of keeping animals contained.
Mhm.
And then, I don't know if I think best management practices incorporates this, and we also state that there should not be overgrazing, but yeah, but anyway, I think the fencing should be clarified.
Where would you still in that same J, right? Is that what you're
Yeah, I would say that animals, livestock, anything, I guess animals kept on conservation land are required to be, I don't know what the word is, contained in
Fenced.
pens. Yeah,
Mhm.
contained
Fenced
in
in.
pens, fences, or something, um, along those lines.
Just
Yeah.
fenced in is probably enough.
Mhm.
all right? All right. Are required to be fenced in. Yeah, you think that's enough there?
Yes.
All right. And what kind of fencing?
If this was leased land and there was no fence already, a farmer would, for chickens, they would have that like electric fencing mesh. For cattle, it would just be a single strand of electric. And I think in that case, like asking them to put do not touch signs would be pretty reasonable, but electric fencing would definitely be what was used. Any other form of fencing is just cost prohibitive for leased land and not as effective at keeping animals in.
So,
Did you say appropriate?
Yeah, I think it's the norm.
No, I mean, put the word appropriate in there.
so
Yeah.
I just
Appropriate fencing.
there's
Um,
not necessarily
well,
going to be access to electricity. So
People use batteries, like car batteries,
okay.
or little solar panels.
with a battery, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Um,
think that's a good idea to put appropriately right before fenced in.
it's I don't I think that's how do you define appropriately, Sarah?
Well, we'll be defining it because we have to approve their management plan, but it's just giving them the heads up that they're gonna have to comply with, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think just
That,
fencing in is enough. And
that is stated in W below in the fencing section.
all right. We're getting we're starting to loop around here. Understandably.
Keep us on task here.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good.
Yeah. Uh, anything else between here and so anything else on access? K or L or M or N or O utilities?
Sorry,
Right.
Andre, I have a
Oh, sorry, I did not see your hand, Jason. Go ahead.
no problem. On K for access, I do think we should state that access granted to leased lands, uh, it doesn't prohibit access by the public. Like, it doesn't become their land, right? And they can't prevent the public um, from accessing the area. I believe we talk about the areas around it. They can't prevent it around the fields, but they can prevent it within the fields. Is that correct?
So I
Can
think
you?
the sorry, I when I'm sharing my screen, I can't raise my hand, so I feel like I'm constantly interrupting. But I think that the idea is we don't want to restrict public access to the property, but we also don't want to encourage public access in the area that's being leased by people. So, there's the balance there of, it's being leased by a private entity, and so you don't want dogs obviously running through somebody's crops and stuff like that. Which has
Likewise, you don't
happened
want
previously.
people
Yeah.
being like, oh, you know what? I hate Farmer John. I'm going to go up there and just stomp on all of his seedlings. You know what I mean? Like, they should, and I don't know if this came out correctly, but I believe that there should be some right for them to prevent access by the public onto the the land that they're actually farming.
That's
a
really,
Jason, let me make a suggestion here. I would say that the second sentence there, the commission is aware that dogs, whatever. I I don't think we need to. I think we can take that out and essentially say that uh the that not that the public is prohibited from walking on crops on planted areas and destroying crops and therefore destroying crops, something like that. I the dogs themselves isn't I think you're what you were saying. It can be people walking across a field and punching holes through let's say punching holes through the field or whatever, horses,
Or trying to access the animals. I mean, people try to take selfies with wild animals
yeah.
in Yellowstone Park all the time. There's nothing you wouldn't want them doing that with a cow. I mean,
Mhm.
we talk about the bulls and all that stuff, but like bothering chickens or
Yeah.
anything. So my point is, let's not specifically state crops. It's just land and agricultural production, maybe something along those lines,
Yeah.
which includes animals.
It's,
How about access to land and agricultural use is prohibited?
Yeah, but
wait,
I don't think you can do that.
let's take
yeah,
turns. Let's take turns. We have three people with hands up. Dave is first, Sarah's next, and Carol's after that.
Okay.
Dave?
Sure, I think this is good conversation. I think the way this is going to be achieved practically is by kind of establishing norms. If in future years we get more conservation land licensed, and I want to make sure we continue to use the word license. These are not leases; these are licenses. There's a very important distinction. But I think it'll be reestablishing or establishing norms as to how these lands are used both by the farmers but also by the public. Cropland is, as Tina said, not likely to be fenced. So I think signage is going to be key. That's probably the best we can do is establishing norms and signage. We are not going to prevent, some people are still going to go do some things that we don't want them to do. And because it isn't private land, there is going to be an element of risk here. And that sometimes happens. So dogs sometimes run where they want to go, and people sometimes, as Jason said, want to take selfies. So I think I think I don't want us to overthink this. I think it's mainly going to be norms and signage that'll help over time. So
All right. So do you suggest just leaving it as is there, Dave? Because I mean, it does make sense to leave that one as is for now. And if they're in the future, come back and take another look at it.
I did like Jason's suggestion of changing instead of crop land to what was it to agricultural licensed land or something like that.
Mhm.
I might have missed the details there,
A-
but
agricultural use.
yeah, I think that's good. Because
Uh,
again, if it's chickens, as Tina said, if it's chickens or cows or something like that, or goats, they're going to have an electric fence and some signage. But if it's just, squash, there might not be. And I think we're going to have to work with the farmer to encourage them and us to put up signage to say, hey, this is planted.
Okay.
Stay out.
Thank you, Dave. Sarah?
yeah, I agree with Dave. The only concern I have with leaving that sentence in there, I don't think there's a problem of putting it somewhere else and all the, restrictions on what the public can and can't do on conservation land. But I think that K is meant as a disclaimer to protect the commission so that somebody who is licensing land doesn't think that it's the commission's responsibility to police, what is essentially, land open to the public and make sure that people are doing what they're not supposed to do on their crops, that it's not something we can really control. I think that's what K is about.
Makes a
So
lot of sense, Sarah. Thank you. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I also remember that.
Anything on,
Sorry.
but
The situation with the dogs was there was a I feel like when we had this conversation, there was specifically a situation where I don't know if it was the Khmer growers or something, they actually went out of business because of the dogs going in there and contaminating their vegetables. So it was like deliberately inserted in there because of problems they had with dogs people letting their dogs run through the cropland. Anyway, I don't know how to address it. I just wanted to make sure I made that it was when we had the discussion previously, it was deliberately explained about dogs because of that reason.
all right. I think we can leave it like the way that you've got it there for now. And molded in the future if it's necessary. Anything for L, Lima? Anything for M, Mike? N for wetlands? I see some comments in that. Okay, utilities. Oh. P for accessory structures. Q, storage of equipment.
Rachel's raising her hand, Andre.
I'm sorry, Rachel, please.
Yeah, I know there was a previous discussion about supplying water to, sorry, it's late, to community garden space. If we say there are no utilities permitted except certain utilities, should we say anything about the existing water? Or is that included in the certain utilities category?
I'm not sure now. Is that you're talking about the community gardens versus licensees?
Well, if there are already existing utilities on an area that someone wants to license agricultural production, are we now saying that they're not allowed?
Could I jump in here, Andre?
Yeah, please do.
Rachel, what do you mean existing utilities? What? I'm not sure what you mean.
We don't even, we may not even know yet the full extent of land that's conservation land that may be used for agricultural production, may be licensed as such.
Mhm.
And if we're saying no utilities are permitted on conservation lands, but if there's already existing water infrastructure in place on the conservation land, is that in conflict or is that, or do we not have to worry about that?
I can say, I can, it depends on how we define utilities, but I can say with some certainty, I mean, there are no wells, there are no water lines, there are no electrical lines that are public. The only thing we have at community gardens are cisterns and the hand sand pumps, that are people powered. So we don't have any electrical service or water or sewer.
Okay,
Andre, sorry.
Yeah.
And recall that community gardens is an entirely different section of this document.
That was
Yes.
the point there. Exactly. Good. Thanks. And maybe it is a little bit confusing here. It says no utilities are permitted on conservation lands except that. How about on licensed conservation lands, since that's what we're talking about, not conservation lands in general? Because we're talking about agricultural licenses, right?
yeah, is it more that we don't want someone who's licensing to go ahead and install their own utilities on the land?
You got it.
And if it's something that the town has a purpose or a use that a well is appropriate, or lighting for some public access is appropriate, that we're not prohibiting that.
Yeah, they're saying that, yeah, for licensed agricultural use, you can't bring in utilities except that, for example, the example we just had earlier of a solar powered fence. Neighbors here have do that. They bring their solar thing and plug it in when they rotate their cattle. Anyway, thank you. And anything for storage of equipment or enforcement? On enforcement, it says the commission encourages all users of conservation land to work cooperatively together and to resolve conflicts that may arise. If, however, a resolution cannot be reached, the issue should be reported to the conservation staff. Okay, I'll just leave it as is. Anything on the signs? And now T is is community gardens and agricultural licenses. Okay, anything on that? No. I think this is a good spot to stop here before we get into land use and management. It's 9:09 right now. If any of you disagree. Okay. So that concludes, here we are on the old page 14. Land use management is where we go next. Do we have we don't have any compliance updates as Aaron mentioned earlier, is that correct, Aaron? Or did you mention that earlier? I'm trying to
I don't have any updates to share on any of the compliance items.
all right, monitoring reports, no.
It's been pretty frozen.
Do we have any is there anybody in the public who remained with us? I see one. Do we have any questions or comments from the public before we move on? I see no hands up from the one participant. And are there any other topics that we didn't anticipate 40 hours prior to the meeting? I'm not seeing anything other than tired faces. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I second.
Second.
All right.
Go ahead, Rachel, you can have it.
Second. All right. So we have Bruce with motion, and I think Rachel and Tina for a second. Is that correct?
Rachel and Jason.
Rachel.
Okay. Oh, wow. I thought there was. All right, Rachel.
Aye.
Yep. Jason.
Aye.
Bruce.
Aye.
Carol.
Aye.
Tina.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Folks, thanks again for a very productive session. There's a lot of smart minds working together here. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Night.
everybody.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone.
Bye.
Aye.